President Donald Trump has announced significant reciprocal tariffs on India and China. Trump described these tariffs as discounted reciprocal tariffs, implying that they are set at roughly half the rate that these nations charge on the US on imports. Under the new tariffs, India faces 27% import duty while China is set at 34%. This policy is represented as a means to correct what Trump perceives as unfair trade practices, especially non-tariff barriers that raise costs for American companies. While Trump claims that India imposes about 51% tariff, this figure remains unclear. The methodology behind this claim remains unknown, since he also talks about non-tariff barriers like certification and testing requirements that American companies face when exporting to India. These added burdens, though not technically tariffs, significantly increase the cost of doing business as far as American firms are concerned. However, the absence of a clear explanation for the 51% figure leads to ambiguity in the reasoning behind the tariff hikes. One key exception in these tariffs is the pharmaceutical sector. Despite the reciprocal tariffs, no new duties have been imposed on pharmaceutical products, which is a relief for India's pharmaceutical industry as well as for the American citizens. The industry is a major contributor to India's exports, and maintaining favorable access to the US market is critical for its continued growth. While stock markets initially dipped in response to the announcement, the decline was not as severe as some had anticipated. This suggests that the market participants are waiting to see how the situation evolves, understanding that the ultimate effects of the tariff will depend on the duration and ability of the industries to adjust to new trading conditions. Despite the tariff challenges, India has ramped up efforts to secure favorable trade terms with the US. Over the past few months, India has pledged $25 billion in energy imports from the US, explored defense deals, including the potentially acquiring the F-35 fighter jets, and curbed tariffs on American products like bourbon whiskey and luxury cars. These actions reflect India's intention to build stronger ties with the US and mitigate the negative efforts of the ongoing trade conflict. Reports also suggest that India is considering reducing tariff on $23 billion worth of US imports, including gems, jewelry, pharmaceuticals, and auto parts, in an attempt to ease the pressure from the newly imposed tariffs. However, no final deal has been reached, and India's response remains in flux. One of the sectors most vulnerable to the new tariff is the automotive industry. The 27% reciprocal tariff, combined with the 25% tariff on imported automobiles and auto parts, effective from April and May 2025 respectively, could have significant impact on India's automotive exports to the US. Additionally, the Indian IT sector, which relies heavily on access to the US market, may also face challenges due to imposition of these tariffs. In parallel to these trade tensions, India and the US are negotiating a bilateral trade agreement aimed at reducing the US trade deficit with India, which stands at about $45 billion as we speak. The first phase of the BTA is expected to be finalized by the fall of 2025. These talks cover a broad range of issues, including supply chain integration, technology transfers, and investment flows. Both sides are keen to ensure that the trade remains a pillar of mutual prosperity, as reflected in their shared commitment to the India-US comprehensive global strategic partnership. Ultimately, the impact of these tariffs will depend on the longevity, as I mentioned earlier, and how industries and governments adapt. The outcome of the ongoing trade negotiations will be critical in shaping the future trajectory of the US-India trade relations, and the coming months will be crucial in determining whether these tariffs signal a new phase of trade cooperation or a prolonged economic standoff. For The Print, this is Snehesh Alex Philip, and this is my instant analysis.